And now we are back. Moving on from Andy's Bloodborne stories, we're about to review a video game that y'all need to know about called Thank Goodness You're Here. Before we get into it, though, I want to start with a little bit from GameSpot, from Richard Wakeling, who says, your first task in Thank Goodness You're Here is to answer the question, Atha from Tarn. How do you say that? I don't know.
You nailed it. Atha from Tarn. Put a little English on it.
Let
Lucy do it in her accent.
Well,
break out the accent, Lucy.
Okay, first of all, I'm from the north.
Do the English accent, Lucy.
I'm not from Yorkshire though. Arthur from town. Like I would just say you're from the Toon, but that's different.
All right. Depending on your response, the game's menus and subtitles will either display in English or the local dialect, changing words like options to faff and continue game faff and continue game to keep going.
Keep ganning,
Yeah, if this rather odd choice hasn't already given it away, Thank Goodness You're Here is possibly the most quintessentially British game ever made, specifically Northern England and the town of Barnsworth, a fictional town right near the very real town of Barnsley. Developed by Cole Supper, a two-person team who grew up in the post-industrial town, this absurdist comedy slapformer is a genuinely hilarious romp. It won't appeal to everyone and can be finished over a few cups of tea. Good Lord.
I want to say originally in this original draft, Richard wrote, it can be finished over a cup of tea. And I genuinely left a note that says, good Lord, how long are you taking? Because it took me like 3.5 hours. And I was like, no, a cup of tea, you got a 20-minute window.
But there aren't many games that have managed to plaster such a huge smile on my face.
Wasn't one of the options, go on then.
Yeah, get on then.
I could have sworn it was like, initially when I picked the like English UK options, that one of the buttons was like, go on then, like continue, maybe? Or
exactly. That changes all of it to be that stuff. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
So
the entire game is brilliant.
A 90 on Metacritic right now. This is from Cole Suppers, the developers. Panic's the publisher. Pop Agenda is the marketing and publishing support arm.
I put that, of course, for a shout out, not for a shout out, but the point, of course, that I'm married to Jen, who's a co-founder of Pop Agenda. So take my opinion with a grain of salt.
But also look at all the games that Greg shits on from Pop
Agenda. Pop Agenda puts out some stinkers. You know what I'm saying? Hi, Jen. I know you're watching.
Lucy, I want to start with you because it only feels right.
What was that one flying game? The Jet the Far Shore? Oh my God. You know what I mean?
We don't got it.
I can't wait for just like...
You're going to see the text in real time.
Lucy,
Hi.
What did you think about Thank Goodness You're Here?
I loved it. As soon as George sent the code over, I just stopped what I was doing and I sat and I finished it in one sitting. I don't think I've done for a very long... I think that might be the only time I've ever done that.
Really?
Yeah, I first played it at PAX West last year, and then I played the demo when it came out in Next Fest. So I kind of blitzed through the opening 20, and I mean, it's just... I'm trying not to say that it's just very British, because, yeah, you take one look at the game, and you're like, oh, that's a British-ass game. British-ass game. British-ass game. But there is something that it manages to do that I think is really special, especially for people from England, especially from the northeast of England. I'm from the northeast, which is also like post-industrial. We had, if you've ever seen Billy Elliot, you know all about the coal mines. Like genuinely, I know in the UK, like people know about the coal stuff and Maggie Thatcher. But in America, I always say if you've seen Billy Elliot, because that's the easiest way for y'all to kind of know what it was like. The small town vibe, they've just nailed it so well. Like sometimes characters would do something or say something, or I would see a joke and I'd be like, I know that person. Like this is so familiar to me. It was like a weird homecoming if I lived in an absurd town that's animated.
Sure, close enough, yeah.
And I was a weird little yellow guy.
Yeah, you're just a little guy.
I'm a little guy. But sometimes I'm a very giant guy because they mess around with the perspective stuff all the time.
Sometimes you're a giant little guy.
Yes.
But sometimes you're a really small little guy. You're always a little guy, Tim. You're probably about a foot off the ground in this game.
You're there. I talked to the mayor.
This is one of those times, everybody, that I've been hearing people talk about this game for the last couple of weeks, just in Slack or just around the office. And Greg asked me to read this thing that I just read, and I understand maybe a tenth of the words that I've seen. You're not talking about these little guys, big little guys, little guys. Barrett, can we get some gameplay of this up there? Because I have no understanding of what this game even looks like. He's yellow.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like The Simpsons, right? Where you got colorful characters that way.
He also looks like so the studio logo is that guy, and so in the wartime that was a
looking over the wall.
Yeah, that little guy looking over the wall, like a little not logo,
very
but
popular,
like
graffiti,
yeah,
right?
graffiti. And so John Blythe. Also, shout out to John Blythe because he used to be official Xbox and magazine, and so he was in the game scene for a long time. And it's very funny hearing his voice, and also Matt Berry. But yeah, so
New York City.
So I mean, Tim, you're seeing it here interspliced into it, right? But like what they call it is a slapformer because you just have 2 buttons. You have jump and you have slap.
Except for one time when you have to pick something up, and it took me ages to realize you just hold down the slap button.
Yeah. So you walk around, you slap the shit out of everything, and like an ass, a thing, a shrimp, jump in there, do this. You're just running around, slapping, jumping, and that is opening up the area and expanding the thing. And so that's all it is. And it sounds so basic. And every time we saw this and other things, I don't know if you know this, I'm not British. I don't know.
You could have fooled me.
Every time we saw this, I always thought, oh, that looks really cute. That looks weird. That looks whatever. It seems like it has my sense of humor, but would it be an interesting game? And on the kind of funny scale, of course, we operate 1 to 10, right? You can do 0.5s, you can do whatever. I'm saying this is a 9 out of 10. I think this is an amazing game. Wow. And I think that when I say that and I say it's an amazing game, I obviously don't mean it's amazing in the way God of War is amazing for whatever God of War does, right? It's amazing for setting out to be a comedic video game and being able to carry it its entire run for me to roll credits and want to start again to go get the trophies I missed and also just see it again because I thought I did everything. But to get there and have stuff I didn't, I'm like, well, I want to see the jokes for that because this is so up my alley of what my humor is. When I was playing it and I was trying to describe it to people, I was like, for me, it's those best parts of the Tim Robinson show that I just had on the tip of my tongue.
I think you should leave.
Thank you so much, which I adore on Netflix.
No, I mean it.
Lucy James, everybody. You can get her on GameSpot. No, it's that level of humor and all those other like irreverent things I've enjoyed. But then as a kid who grew up obsessed with Comedy Central, it reminds me of Monty Python, right? It'll remind me of just the British humor that I know of, like Absolutely Fabulous, of like them doing that. And I don't know this town, but it's so easy to get ingratiated with it. But then for just taking what would be, I think, the mundane of this town and then getting absurd with it and the way they play with, they have these jokes in there. Like this, so I think it was Richard's GameSpot review does such a great job of explaining how to play. Because it's a weird one of you run around, you slap, and like, again, maybe you're slapping to get a joke, maybe you're just breaking something, but usually you're opening a path to go to the next thing. But it kind of works in a circle where if you need to, even if you know you need to go backwards to get to something, you still push right. So you're like going around a carousel the entire time, right? And the fact that never got in my way, I was never frustrated. I never wanted to backtrack because I always wanted to. And what it does in that sense is, comedy, I'm always told works in that rules of 3. Mm-hmm. Pushing forward and interacting with the same places and same people multiple times. Like there would be times where I'm going to go down this chimney. And I was so fucking excited to see what would happen next, because it was just so good about it. But again, the humor, while often crass, often offbeat, like is never like, it's just subversive in a way that I just couldn't get enough of. And so
this episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades that are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Y'all know I've been outside a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's been a great experience wearing my Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day 1, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you purchase. Exclusively for y'all, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. This episode is brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims has treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing access to affordable sexual health treatments, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments, such as chewable hard mints, proven treatments like Viagra or Cialis, or their generics for up to 95% cheaper. No insurance is needed. Pay one low price for your treatments, online visits, ongoing shipments, and provider messaging. And the process is simple and 100% online, so no uncomfortable in-person visits necessary. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/kindafunny. That's HIMS.com/kindafunny for your personalized ED treatment options. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions, details, and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Good news! A new run of my children's book, Portillo the Wiener Dog Thinks He's a Manatee, is available for pre-order right now! Head over to kindafunny.com/store to snag one before the end of the week. And while you're there, pick up a few items from our Portillo merch line, including shirts, crew necks, and hats. Already got them? Grab them for your favorite best friend. Christmas is only 5 months away! Barrett, can we show the clip with the sound up? Sam, this will be... You've seen the launch trailer, you see some gameplay. You get very little bit of gameplay here, me slapping a bunch of stuff, but then you get me into like why I love this game. Can we show this clip, Barrett?
I got it from a car boot sale. No, I went and I said, that's an awfully strange car boot. He said, well, it's a hot tub. Oh, my.
And then you just start pulling that udder.
Oh, yeah.
No, this isn't even the part I love, Tim. Wait for it. Oh. No. Yes. Oh, no. Yes.
I never saw this. That's amazing.
Milk shy no more.
Boom. On to the next part of your
Can't
journey. Like, I fucking adore this game and its humor, man. It's hilarious.
That was a journey and a half.
Yeah.
And that's one of those, and again, with the repetition, this is a tough one to talk about because there's so many things you want to talk about that then would spoil the punchline because the punchline is the repetition to get back to and stuff.
And I think that's part of the genius of it is building up those jokes. You're not just getting a line of dialogue. That line of dialogue is likely setting up something else later on. Yeah. And seeing that kind of bear fruit is just really, it's cool to be like, oh, what a funny way to kind of follow up that last line you had when I saw you, 15 or 20 minutes ago. But like, it works in a really neat way because you would think that maybe the time spent apart from that would not let that joke really line up or hit, but there's just something cool about going. There's such a great reoccurring bit in the middle of the city with two characters arguing that you keep on circling back around, and there's a new evolution to what they're doing, and it's every time. Yeah,
it's such a British conversation. Like you're having to put your bins out, and the neighbor hasn't put their bin out, or like you don't know it's the day, so you have to be like, oh well, I'll see if number three's put their bins out, and then I'll do it. And there's that's on my property. So like it's such a British conversation to have.
Yeah, and it's just awesome to see the way that they play with humor and kind of pace it out in a really good way that works comedy wise. I would put this game on the Kinda Funny scale. I rolled credits last night. I would put this at a 7 out of 10. I'm a bit lower on it, and I expected to like it a lot more. And I'm such a sucker for British humor. Like, I'm the type that, like, you have some dude in a movie say something in a British accent. If it's a normal American accent and it's a basic ass joke, it probably wouldn't hit. But there's just something I love about British humor. And it worked for me maybe about half of the time here. Wow. Where a lot of the jokes would get me really good, and some of them just felt a bit more throwaway. And I feel like when the whole point is that comedy is subjective, it may not work for everybody. Obviously, it's working for a lot of people. I know I'm going to be much lower, and I'm much lower on the reviews, but it will still, like I still really love the fact that this game exists. The fact that it reminds me a lot, Tim, of like the old, little car putt. You ever play that car putt?
No, the Flash
Putt-Putt
game,
Mini
right?
golf?
You're a little car named Putt. You would drive. It was an old adventure game you played like in elementary school.
I don't remember this one.
Oh, Blessing loved this.
These
I
were
have not
games that
played
were
it, though.
definitely like on school computers back in the day. And it reminds me, one thing I loved about it is like everything is slappable and interactive. Every kind of item in the world will react in some little way. And I just love like hitting a post and then it would get crumpled, or hitting a dude and he's doing a crossword puzzle and he responds. He's like, oh, 4 across. It's and it just took me back to a time where like I haven't experienced a game like this in quite some time. But when the jokes hit
Yeah.
really good, and sometimes they just missed more than I would have liked. But I think it's really adorable and fun and weird as hell.
Bear, one thing I just dropped in was it's Simon Cardy's tweet of a clip that he thought was the funniest thing. If you could get that prepped. While you do in the chat, Dewdrop asked, is this a good game for non-gamers to watch but not play? Which I think is a great question and a fascinating one, because gamers.
Yeah.
We're all
Am I
gamers
right?
here, right? But, it is that idea of once you introduce that you can slap everything and something's going to happen, I was slapping everything. And it
I
was
slapped
annoying the
everything.
shit out of Jen.
Oh,
Because,
really?
I'm trophy hunting, right? So, I'm specifically, I know if I smash every can or every
Yeah.
mailbox, there'll be a trophy here, right? So, it's like, Jen was so annoyed. And then when she was complaining at one point, I did it and I got a trophy. It's like, fine. But it was like, it did slow down the narrative of what was going on. For her.
Yeah.
Can we see this Simon Cardy clip? This is another good one for Tim. Can we get the,
Putt-Putt, by the
can we
way.
get the audio?
Hello there. I've got a sausage here. Would you like it? Here you go. Ah, I've dropped it. That's okay. I've got another. Ah, I've dropped it
It
again.
just keeps on
It's
happening.
all right. I've got some more inside. Back in a mo.
Now, did you ever meet this dude? Because I never did.
I didn't know.
And I really wanted to, because that's not the first or last time that situation happens where it's like,
Repetition.
yeah.
and it keeps on building up. But I was hoping that at one point I would eventually get to the other side of that fence and kind of just see him with all these little sausages.
I've seen a few people in the chat ask. It's on Switch, all the PlayStation's PC.
Yeah. Lucy, what would you give it on the kind of funny scale? 1 to 10 with 0.5s there.
Oh, with 0.5s. Oh, I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Ooh!
I
Between
know.
amazing and masterpiece for this.
Yeah,
All right, it
but
spoke to you.
I think it is so confidently executed. I think when you mentioned about like looping around and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't think I really fully appreciated how well it guides you and how well it uses jokes to block off and open other areas. Like the kid who's getting bullied blocks off something and then you help and then you get through. Or one of my favorite ongoing gags as someone who can't drive is the girl who's learning to drive and she's terrible at it. They use that in such a smart way. And it's like every time you see it, it's like it's another layer to the joke. It's another layer to the joke. I do wonder if some of the jokes will translate, because I know for a fact that Americans think nonce is just a fun little insult when it's kind of not. And
What's
they're-
a nonce? Luce?
Pedophile, right?
It's pedophile.
Yeah.
But like multiple Americans have said to like, oh, nonce, what a fun word to say. And I'm like, can't just be going calling people a nonce. But in the UK,
Yeah, I saw it written on the wall in one of the scenes.
or like Graham Shags Moss, which I really enjoyed. It's like there's a crudeness to it too that I think really just speaks to British lightheartedness. Because in the UK, we are, I don't know, there's the perception of British people having like the stiff upper lip and everything, but really British humor and British people are just very funny. And I know that I'm British, so I'm like,
Hilarious.
You're
I'm
hilarious.
hilarious.
We know
But
that.
it's just like, we have this culture of humor. And I think it's partly because we as a country are down on a lot of things. And so we commiserate through humor. And I think it's like a special bond, especially in regional towns. Like you feel like you know everyone. Like if I'm in Newcastle, I do not care about talking. Like I would talk to anyone, as in.
Yeah.
I would never do that in London, for example. But if I was back home, like a regional, I know we have this bond of being from the north. I would just talk to anyone. I feel like they captured that in a great way. So for me, it's also just very well executed.
I'm sure there's tons of stuff that went over my head in terms of a word here, the joke there, on the wall there, but like the stuff that I was able to catch, I loved so much. And again, I think it's interesting to see a 9 or a 9.5 even from Loose, right? Because it is one of those things of playing it and understanding what they set out to achieve. Like, what could they have done better? Like, what does keep it back from that? You know what I mean? Like, I think if anything, we've talked about it, the length is a short game, right? Like, I've seen reviews saying 2 hours. I did it in 2 sittings, so I felt like it was more.
I did 3.5.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was more of 3 to 4 for me, wherever it was.
I think it was around maybe 2.5 for me.
Yeah. So I mean, like, there's that to it of maybe a longer game would have done it, but I'm so happy with what's there because I wouldn't want bloat for bloat's sake.
Yeah.
The fact that it's there and everything you're doing leads to, I think, a funny joke in some regard.
The bit you show with the cow that ended with like the kind of splash screen, no pun intended, of the like the words on the screen for like the bits.
Yeah.
Is that like a common thing throughout the game, or is that
It's kind of like it's kind of like the end of a quest line.
Okay.
You don't have a quest log or anything like that, but when you get like the cow being or the guy being milk shy, the crow being milk shy, that's been building for a little bit in that little narrative. So it's like you get there and you end that, and then you move on to the next thing.
Oh, hello. Can you come and help me? I'm afraid I'm terribly milk shy. So
Direct lines. It's a game. It's one of
It's
those.
a game,
like,
everybody.
this is, I think, a banger. If you have my kind of humor, I think you check it out. If you're British, check it out. But
Yeah.
I
I had
loved
a
it.
British friend of mine who only ever texts me about Yakuza.
Nice.
I've known this guy for like 10 years. Shout out to Doug if you're watching. He just messaged me. He was like, do I need to buy this? And I was like, yes, you do. I have my other friend, Hannah, who's not even really that much of a gamer. She definitely plays more.
I thought you were going to say, she's not even really that British.
Yeah, that's so
But like she messaged me about it. And I was like, how did you hear about it? But also, I'm really glad you did because this is very much your shit.
Yeah, the Untitled Goose Game, Debs. Like that's fun because you kind of see that too, but in a different way. But like, are you surprised from going that game to this game?
Well,
Publish.
yes, exactly. Panic's the publisher. Cole Supper, the 2-person dev team, made this.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can definitely see the lineage, I think.
But this is more to the fact again of like, what a bunch of wacky fuckos Panic are. You know what I mean? Like, we'll make Untitled Goose Game. We'll publish this game. We'll make a fucking handheld with a crank. We're psychopaths. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh man, any final thoughts on this game here that for some reason I'll never remember the name of? Because
thank goodness you're here.
I keep thinking I think you should leave. I keep thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's probably why I got over it.
Thank goodness you're here, which is available everywhere. They're saying. Any final words?
No
Liz?
Xbox.
Except Xbox, of course.
No final words. Oh, the music's lovely too.
Yeah.
Didn't talk about the music. It's just
I think the performances are great. I think the music's great. I think, again, we've talked about it being, if you're an audio listener, this colorful, cartoony game. I think the art style is great. It reminds me so much of
love the art
things
style.
I would see on Adult Swim in college when I was watching a lot of Adult Swim. And I love that aspect of it, but then I do like how they will change perspective or use cinematography and bust in. Like, Luce was talking about playing with scale. There's a whole bunch of different things they do that are really fun. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect that coming. And again, the repetition. Well, you beat me to it, but when you were like, oh my God, the Lady Di plate. And then when I got it, I was like, that wasn't that funny. But then 4 or 5 times later, I was like, that's hilarious.
yeah. I mean, I know that Americans like enjoy the royal family, but I don't think you can really appreciate the chokehold that Lady Di had on the United Kingdom when she was alive, and the reactions to her death still very much ongoing. And so there is this Lady Di ongoing bit. It's very subtle, but when I was playing through it, I was like, oh,
The pipe
God,
thing?
they nailed it. They nailed that.
That was pretty good.
It's me. BT is asking, Gray, is there a platinum, or are you just getting?
Oh, of course,
trophies?
there's a platinum. Oh yeah, big time. And it's one of those annoying ones of like, not annoying. It's one of those that was an annoying experience for me. Again, you get a game early on a PlayStation, trophies aren't live on the PSN, so you don't see what's on your system till you sync it when it's there, or put your system to offline mode and look there. But it's like when I'm in the middle of the game, I don't want to stop and go offline and do this thing. So when I was like, I'll wait, and I was like, I'm being very, I think, exhaustive with my slaps. You know what I mean? I'm slapping asses left and right. I'm smashing mailboxes. I'm doing all this stuff. And to get to the end and be like, oh shit, I have so many more. There was so many more things to do. Was on the one hand, on the other hand, I'm like, oh cool. This is another one I will definitely do over a night if it's only 2 hours, maybe 2 nights. You know, with a trophy guide to see the bits I missed.
Looks fantastic on Steam Deck. Runs great. Also went into the resolution when I played. I finished it up on my PC yesterday, and it said 2160 by 3840. Like, oh, they do. British people do the height of the resolution first. Wow, interesting. Learning stuff about them every day.
I don't like that at all. that really bothers me. Where can people find you, Lucy?
My house. No, that's
my
not
God,
no,
no.
we don't do that. Everywhere at Lucy James Games.